You pound it in until it gets to the end of the cable. So it's about 10, 12 inches deep. And then when you get done doing that, you yank up on it and it turns this thing sideways in the ground because it's got a shovel nose on it. So it does this automatically when you try to pull it out, and it turns sideways. And it takes, in good ground, it takes a four-wheeler to get down to the ground. I usually just carry a rope and a carabiner around my four-wheeler and hook it to the front, just back up.
So you ever like mark?
I always dig my trap bed first. I want to know how that trap's going to be orientated to the ground, and I orientate the dirt hole to the trap. That way I don't have to worry about manipulating the trap to the dirt hole, because there might be a root mouth. There might be a big rock in the ground. And I got to put that trap somewhere I didn't want to put it. So then I got to move my dirt hole, or just leave it screwed up. And I don't want to do that either, because this is my one chance to catch an animal getting into his foot in that 2-inch circle. All right. So what I'll do is I'll come in and I'll dig myself something that's a little bigger than my trap, and I don't get overexcited about it, and I don't dig too big of a hole. That hole right there, to me, is more than big enough. All right. I'll take this dirt here. I usually dig it from the other side, and this will become my backing for my trap. Okay. And the reason I use backing on my trap, you don't want to get a lot of people, because they watch so many primitive trapping videos or something, I don't know, they want to funnel an animal in to a trap really tight. If you over funnel a canine, you'll never catch it, because a canine wants to work the set. He's going to walk around this thing in circles before he decides where he's going to go. He's not going to walk in there and stick his nose in the hole. He's not a Labrador. He knows better. Right? He's going to walk around that thing a few times and say, okay, where can I get my nose in that hole? Where's the best place to put my foot? Where can I see anything that might be coming around me, like a big male that wants to kick my ass off the planet? He wants to know all of those things before he puts his nose in that trap, and you can't see anything but that hole. So he's going to check it out. If you try to over funnel him, you will not catch him. He'll walk away from it. So just keep this thing pretty loose. I don't like to go any further than halfway across my hole. If anything is further than halfway across this hole, I don't want it. If I'm going to put anything else in here to direct him, it's going to be like some heavier clods of dirt or stone. Something like that, where he's going to be like, well, why would I want to step there when I can step there? Why would I want to come in from this direction when I can come in from here? There's nothing in my way. I might put a weed in the ground right here that's poking up in the air, and he's not going to put his face in it. Right? And that's all I'm going to do with that. So that part is done. No muss, no fuss. Now I'm going to come in here and take my earth anchor and drive this thing in the ground underneath my trap. Straight in the middle of my trap bed is where I'm putting that thing in the ground there. I put it all the way to here, and then I'm going to yank up on the trap one time to set the earth anchor. Okay?
Straight underneath your trap?
Straight underneath it, right there. That's where I'm putting it. Straight underneath it. You can put it over here if you wanted to. Here's my thing. I want this trap and anything that's associated with it that he might touch with his foot to be within the confines of those jaws. Because if I've got this chain over here somewhere, and an animal walks in, and for some reason the dirt moves right here, the chain made noise, he catches a nail on metal, for any reason, he's done. He's either going to dig it up or leave it. So I want everything under here, so that everything is within the confines of his jaw, and the only place he's going to put his foot or investigate is what's on this side of it. I don't want this thing hanging out somewhere. I always do. Because I don't want to mess with a short chain to try to set this trap. I always set my trap before I set my chain. I've caught myself only once because I didn't think, it was when I first started doing it, and I didn't remember that I had set the trap, and I reached for it, and I wasn't looking at it, and went, and it was one of these. And I didn't have any gloves on, so it wasn't pleasant. But I only did it once. Learned real quick. I only did it once. All right, so now, just get this thing back on the ground. Like it would be. You're driving the ground. Okay. Now, the first thing I'll do is, I'll grab some of my dirt, and I'll throw it in my screen, and I'll come in, and I'll put a thin layer of dirt right over top of that chain. A couple reasons for that. A, it's going to help keep that trap from freezing underneath. from underneath. The dirt underneath it won't be frozen, so it won't be locked in place. B, it buries anything that might be left of my chain or my cable are now underground, and they're going to be below the trap. Adjust to my night latch. See, I just dropped that jaw out of the way. If you tried to do that, with that trap, you'd set it off. Now, night latch comes with it. When you put this thing in the ground, what you want to do is, and I got a bunch of crap my way right now because of the way I didn't bury that chain. You want to take this thing and work it into that dirt. That's another reason we're putting dirt in the hole first, because you want something to work that trap down into so it's solid. Because if this trap, once you get this trap buried in the ground, if it moves, when you push on the outside of it, he's going to dig it up. If he steps on this jaw, or where that jaw is at with his foot, and it moves, and the dirt lifts up on the backside of that trap because it's pivoting in the ground, he's digging it up. You're never going to catch it. You're going to come back to the trap. And I said that dogs aren't that smart, and they come back the second year. That doesn't mean they're going to come back the next day or the next year. Right? So you may only get one chance to animal this season. You've got to make that chance. Right? It comes in sheets like this. There's probably 3 of them right there. These are really thin sheets. Now I'll take my latex and I'll lay that dude right over top of that trap, just like that. All right? Now I'm coming in here with more dirt. And I want that trap completely covered up. One thing that you really want to avoid, unless you're doing it on purpose and for a reason, is you want to avoid anything that makes the animal step down into your trap, because he's much less likely to do that. Unless you've made something where he's stepping down a grade. If it's a ledge he's got to step down off of to put his foot there, he ain't gonna do it. He ain't gonna do it. They're kind of picky about that. You can see, I know how much pressure it takes to set that trap off, so I'm not worried about sweeping the dirt over with my hands. Okay? Now I'm just going to spread this out so it looks fairly natural. All right. If I've got chaff, which is heavier stuff, like rocks or bark or dirt and stuff like that, I'll just kind of throw that over the top of the backing like this. And if there's really real heavy pieces in there, I might take some of that real heavy stuff and I might put it over here because I don't want him coming in from this side. You're almost better putting his belt. But it's good to offset left and right, one side or the other. So what I do is I just pick the path of least resistance or something that looks cool. Like I got a little pocket right here that I can see, and I know my trap band's sitting right here. So I'll just come in this side, add a 45. Pound that core sampler in there, twist it a couple times, and pull it out. That stuff right there, a lot of times I'll use that in my trap like this. He ain't putting his feet on that stuff, he don't have to. So it's just a little bit of a guide. Alright, now, all that's done. My set looks pretty natural, it looks pretty good. It looks like something's been digging around in there. It's not overly fenced. I got my dirt all set, my trap's in the ground. Last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna grab some of this fluff, just like this. I generally will take an extra steak like this, put it in there and shove it straight to the bottom. Urine right down the hole. Just a squirt's all it takes. Done, I'm walking away. You can do that in less than 3 minutes once you get used to doing it. Like this, okay? But the one thing you want to understand about a trap like this is, or any trap that you're setting, even that one, you always want that dog lever toward the hole. You don't want it towards the back. The reason for that is, remember, that's a moving part, and when the trap goes off, it flips. And if that coyote happens to be standing on that, it's going to throw his foot right off your trap. You want his foot planted firmly inside that trap with no way it's going to move. So I would set this trap probably about right here. and do exactly the same thing I did before, but that's where I'd have the trap. So you can see your offset's going to be a little different there because your legs are long. So you're going to be a little further back. Maybe that matters, maybe it don't. I really don't think it does. I think you'll catch an animal in that just as fast as you'll catch one 2 inches closer or 2 inches back most of the time for coyotes and big predators. Fox may be different, you know, coons, possums a little different. But for big predators like coyotes, man, they're going to have their feet all in that thing. Especially if they're sniffing that hole. I mean, if you've seen your dog, what he does, and he's like, when he smells something, he's all over it. He doesn't care. He wants in there. Coyotes are the same. Once you make him want what's in that hole, he's all over it. Once he looks around and says, okay, this is safe. There's nothing poking me in the eyes when I put my nose down there. You know, Big Bubba's not looking over my shoulder. There's nothing coming, I'm going. When he sticks his face in there, he's after it. And he's going to put his foot in there sooner or later. All right. So do you guys have any questions about any of this stuff?